you for joining me on TMI Tuesday. And I did say we'll be looking at Buhari's Waec credentials and the issues emanating from that. And discussing that with me from my extreme left, I have a politician, Benson Odia. Benson Odia, many thanks for coming.
Thank you, sir.
And also I have a legal practitioner, Williams Chima. Thank you for coming, Williams.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, audience.
I'm also expecting a custodian of the law, Ebosele Okifo, to join in this discussion. But while we wait for that, let's quickly look at this, and I'll start with you, Barrister Chima. All of these controversies involving the wire credentials of the president, with the recent development where he was submitted, given a presentation of the attestation of results by Waec, I think that has put to rest this whole issue.
Well, the issue of the Waec credentials of Mr. President, I think is something that can be looked at from two perspectives. Perspective number one is that, is it necessary at this point in time to even be dissipating energy discussing, you know, whether Mr. President has Waec or does not have Waec? Okay? Given that the necessary things that he needs the qualification to do, he's already done them. He's the sitting president, okay? And all the agencies that were supposed to have verified and gave him clean bill of health, and that is why he was qualified in the first instance to contest at the first instance, you know. And given that, it can be dispelled to say that we are just wasting time discussing something that is actually, for me, irrelevant. But on the other side of it, as a public figure and as a man that, you know, Nigerians love to respect for his integrity, for his astuteness, for his uprightness, and for his drive, you know, it calls to question that we should scrutinize, you know, the entire process so that the issues will be settled once and for all. And you see, there are a lot of controversies that it depends on where you are looking at it from. At the first instance, Mr. President or his handlers told us that the results certificate, the Waec certificate, was with the military. Okay? And recently, the military that in 2015 running up had, you know, admitted, now tried like what I may call recanting to say that, look, when he was admitted into the military, he was admitted from the secondary school, he was in final year and stuff like that. Okay, so where does that leave us? It leaves us to say that the military is denying that the certificate is not with them.
Yes, I think we've passed that page.
Now we've passed
yes, we've passed that page because what Waec said was that if they need to give attestation of result for a damage of the original certificate or if it's missing. And so being that there is this duplicate copy, though that is not the original certificate, but that shows that at least that he sat for it and he has it.
That is where I am coming to.
Yes.
You know, remember that I said it depends on where you are looking at it from.
Yes.
And if you do not look at both sides and then you jump into conclusion, you may end up making a wrong conclusion. Okay. Okay, so you have to look at the arguments for and against, and then you make your deductions and make your conclusions. That is where your conclusions will be founded on, you know, premises and assumptions. So, as it is presently, the custodians of Waec, okay, have now come up to say, yes, we have this attestation of Mr. President writing the Waec as at when he said he did. Okay? Now,
which is supposed to put paid to the issues.
Yes, what is attestation? Attestation is confirmation, authentication, you know, bearing witness that something happened.
Yes.
Okay?
And that they have the records of it.
And they have the records of it. So if you have the record of Mr. President writing Waec, why should anybody be crying, you know, wolf about it?
Oh, yes.
Except if anybody is impugning on the integrity of Waec itself. because now it's no longer on the integrity of Mr. President, because Mr. President have said, these are the people that have it, I lost it, or as a military personnel, you know, I couldn't carry it about, and Waec comes up to say, you know, now we have found that he actually wrote Waec. But my quarrel, my problem, honestly, is that what I see banded in the social media, and this brings about the issue of, you know, maybe misinformation, spreading rumors, spreading lies. If what is banded in the social media, you know, with the picture of Mr. President on it is what Waec has, you know, presented to Mr. President, I have quarrels with it.
Yes. Like the guidelines by Waec is that an applicant who is applying for the attestation of result would need the passport photograph. Yes, which is the recent passport photograph.
Yes. I agree.
And that's what is there.
I agree.
And
that is just like doing an affidavit in court.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's part of the guideline.
Now,
and if he failed any of the subjects, they are not captured as failed in the attestation. No, it's only those that have.
I am not talking about the content of the attestation, because I know what an attestation is.
Your grasp is with the photograph.
Okay. Now,
or you don't have the grasp with the passport photograph.
An attestation is a confirmation by an authority that has something. Okay? My application to you to attest to the fact that I have this will not bear my application as part of your attestation. Or if you're presenting me a photocopy of my results, it will not bear my application asking you to provide me with that.
No, it wouldn't.
It wouldn't. You will provide me with my results.
Yes, and the attestation of results did not bear that application.
So, if the attestation of results is bearing Mr. President's, you know, current picture, I mean, this is where the discourse.
But it's a guideline. It's one of the guidelines.
Okay.
Okay, I'll come back to you.
All right.
Person Odia, what do you have to say in that?
Well, I will agree with the barrister on certain issues and opinion, but on the issue of passport, I would disagree with him. If you look at Nigerians, we are very good at casting aspersion on anybody that is in a position of authority. If you look at it before now, it was the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But today is Mr. President. So if you look at the issue, anybody that is questioning the integrity, as it is now, it's not the integrity of the Mr. President, it's the integrity of Waec. Why? Because all of us, we wrote Waec. We passed through the West Africa Examination Council. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So if you are now questioning the audacity and the authenticity and the authority, or whether Waec have the extant, there is any extant law that regulate or that ban them or that authorize them to issue certificate of attestation to Mr. President, and if you are trying to invalidate the result issued or the attestation issued to Mr. President by the Waec, which means your own also, as a Nigerian, should also be invalidated.
But let's get it straight. This is a recent development, and it started in 2015. And it's not restricted to the president alone. For a situation where your certificate, Waec certificate, is missing or damaged, you have the right to apply.
Yes.
And being that as it is,
now,
there's nothing wrong in that.
Now, looking at the issues, Waec has a modus operandi. There is a guideline for the application for attestation of attestation.
Yes.
Which means you have to submit 2 passport photographs. You have to write a written application.
You have to swear an affidavit from the, and you have to pay an amount, 20,000 naira.
An amount of money to that effect. So, what discipline reflects?
You get a police report also.
Police report and other things. So, what is reflected on the certificate is this recent passport, which the Mr. President submitted in pursuance of that attestation.
Which is part of the guidelines.
Which is part of the guidelines. So I see no reason why Nigerians, not just Nigerians, those who are those mischievous politicians.
You see no reason why there should be agitations in this respect.
They are not politicking, they are politricking, they are politicians. They are trying to drag Nigerians to distract Nigerians' attention from the fact that the president, a kind of a misinformation. They are trying to misinform the public about on the integrity of Mr. President. And I want to say on this note, I want to say it's condemnable, it's barbaric, it's uncivilized, above all, it's an aberration. Yeah, for an individual to come up, for persons to come up to undermine the integrity of a West Africa Examination Council, not even a NECO. So it's appalling, it's uncomfortable.
Okay. Well, with all of these clarifications and the recent development where this attestation of results kick-started from 2015, don't you see this as a welcome development?
Well, you see, for me, whatever has happened to deepen our democratic ethos is welcomed, but it must not be based on falsehoods, okay, or mischief. It must be something that, you know, posterity can look at and applaud those that propagated it. Okay, so, yes, Mr. President have subjected himself to discussing the issue of whether he has, you know, Waec result or not, whether he wrote Waec or not, because that's the prerequisite qualification to hold the office of the president. Yes. You know, one of the qualifications. So, Mr. President, nobody is arguing over any other of his qualifications because he is well qualified. And people raised this. Mr. President did not wave it aside, okay, which is something that could have happened in some other climes or in some time past. You know.
So it's a score point,
okay, so
for the president.
For me, the fact that Mr. President have addressed it, okay, shows that he wants to put the records straight. And he puts, you know, a template for others. And you can see with me that in this administration, you know, certificate qualifications, not, you know, not doing what you're supposed to have done, you know, have removed some people from offices. Yes. Which had not happened in time past. So, whichever way we look at it, okay, whichever way we look at it, there is credit to be given for addressing this issue. And as I said it earlier on, the question now anybody is asking is not on the integrity of Mr. President.
Because that is intact.
That's intact. He has done his own part. So if you're querying anything now, if you want to go to court, I laugh at when people say they are dragging Mr. President to court and whatever over Waec. You cannot do that again. If you want to drag anybody to court, it's Waec. If you think that they have done something wrong, if you think that, as my brother said, they don't have the authority to say we can attest to the fact that he wrote. So
why do you say it's Waec and not the president?
Yes, because Mr. President...
The immunity is there.
No, not even immunity. Let's remove immunity, because if it is immunity, Mr. President, when he finishes as Mr. President, you know, steps down from the office of presidency, immunity is removed, and criminal prosecution can happen at any time. Okay? But the point here is, as the issue currently is, it is Waec that have presented an authentication, an attestation, you know, a confirmation, okay, witness that Mr. President did write Waec. So you can no longer hold Mr. President if what Waec has presented is wrong. Legally, we can only be talking about moral persuasions.
Yes.
Okay? But legally, you cannot, I mean, if you are the one that forged my document, will you hold me that you forged my document? Will you hold me responsible? You are the custodian, and I wrote to you, and I said that I did write this. I present evidence before you, and you are satisfied. And you check through your records, and you say, yes, what I said I did it. Who will be held responsible? It's no longer me. Okay? Because I came to a higher authority to confirm. And you did that. So, as it is, honestly, Nigerians should focus on the challenges that is facing us to support Mr. President to deliver the goods that he has promised to Nigerians. Okay? Let's stop distracting him so that we can hold him accountable and responsible for his failures and for his successes. Okay? So, these distractions won't help anybody. It will not. If Mr. President is qualified, it is neither me nor you. There are 3 entities that can declare Mr. President unfit to run. Entity number 1 will be Waec, who has given him clean health bill of health.
Yes.
Entity number 2 will be INEC. If they investigate what he has submitted to them and say that there are discrepancies and he lacks the requisite qualifications. Entity number 3 is the court. If anybody now sues Mr. President or sues Waec or INEC for clearing Mr. President and the court founds for the person to say that these entities, you know, misrepresented. So for us, doing, you know, public or media judgment cannot help anybody. Let's tell Mr. President, these are the problems we have in this country. You know, you promised to fight corruption. We are with you. We will help to fight corruption to a extent because corruption is killing this country. Yes. And Mr. President said, if we don't kill corruption, corruption will kill us. And we want to kill corruption. We don't want corruption to kill us. Okay? Mr. President, you promised us that you are going to fight insurgency, security.
So those should be the issues that will be tackled and not this.
Fight this.
Okay.
Let's support Mr. President to build the economy of Nigeria so that Nigerians will be happy. Discussing certificate or no certificate is, by the way, is distraction.
Thank you, Barrister Chima. Well, in case you're just joining us, it's TMI Tuesday. We've been on the issues about Buhari's Waec credentials and issues emanating from all of this. But as we look towards 2019, what is just a few months around the corner, what do you see that should be the guide for politicians in terms of canvassing the way forward in tackling the problems of the country rather than side attractions?
Well, the issues ahead of 2019, I think the most important thing, hate speeches should be discouraged, and the campaigns should be issue-based, and the campaign of calumny, should be discouraged, and all those issues as political parties, as presidential candidates, aspirants for House of Assembly, House of Senate, and others. You should be able to come up with an ideology. It should be people-based ideology, people-based, people-centered, people-oriented programs. You should be able to come up with comprehensive campaigns that are issue-based, not the ones that are going to hate speeches, that the ones that are going to instigate Nigerians to go into violence. And as Nigerians and as politicians, we should be able to learn how to play the games by the rules in line with the tenets and the doctrines of democracy. In other words, in line with global-based practices. And when all these are done, the level of political quagmire and political hiatus, political imbroglio, all these things will reduce to the barest minimum.
Thank you. Well, I did say that we'll be having the presence of all of these issues. We'll be having analysts discussing this. But let's come to you, Ebosele Okifo. Many thanks for coming.
Good morning.
Yeah. Now, the issues about the Waec credentials of the president has been on the crucible, has been on heated debate. But will all of this presentation by the Waec on the attestation of result presented to the president, don't you see that as putting paid to all of these controversies?
Well, it actually increased the controversy because, of course, we also know that Waec don't make home deliverings. You understand? And so if he had this result, all this why did he not present it in 2015? That's an issue. Why is it coming up now? You understand? So it creates a credibility problem, because we have even heard that the APC, they have said that they don't want to present that, they will not present that attestation result. And the issue of the photograph on that result, it also raises another issue, another fraudulent issue, because as at when he purportedly got that result or that certificate, whatever, then they don't used to put photographs in Waec. It just started, I'm sure it's not to 15 or 10 years ago, they started putting photographs into a result sheet.
Yeah, but to guide you.
Yes.
One thing is sure, the attestation of result given by Waec started in 2015. And so there wouldn't have been any way the president would have been able to do that or apply for that in 2014.
Yes.
And then the aspect about the passport photograph, it is one of the guidelines of Waec that if you are to apply for attestation of result, a duplicate copy of your certificate, you should have a recent passport size photograph. And that was what the president presented.
Well, that's
exactly what is on the document.
Yes.
Do you see anything wrong in that?
Well, the issue is that the controversy surrounding it is so, the controversy surrounding is something you cannot wish away. That's the truth, because as at when he did, there seems not to be any controversy anymore, because the issue of the passport photograph has been tackled by the guideline of Waec. What about the issue of that it was not Waec that actually conducted that exam, as at 1961 when he purportedly said to have gotten it? Has it also been resolved? Do we have records to verify that what you just said? So is there?
I think that is controversial.
So I don't know. Those
controversial because
those issues are there.
Did not conduct in the 60s. Which authority conducted it in the 60s that we are going to ask to present? There's no authority. So it's Waec that will do that, because it is a record procedure.
Okay, thank you. But with all of this, some people see this as a distraction, that it's not really facing the brass tacks that we should be facing in terms of 2019 election, that rather than pursue the substance, there seem to be some distractions by certain persons bringing up all of these issues which are baseless, as they argue. Well, you look at it as if it's baseless, but I feel that it's not baseless, because of course, before you started sitting here, you went through the 4 walls of a university. You knew the processes you passed before you became a graduate, you know. And Nigerians, we are out about 200 million, if not at least 180 million Nigerians. So if you say the person that is coming in as the president is not even, his educational qualification is suspect, then it means that it's a shame of a nation. You understand? So you cannot say that. There are so many other issues. Like now, they raise the issue that why should Atiku Abubakar and Obi, why should they go and hold a meeting in Dubai? You know, I expected them to be saying, tell us your achievement. Tell us your achievement. So it's the issue of instead of you to tell us what you are going to do, you are not pursuing trivial things. Both parties are guilty of that. You understand? Now, why would you be quarreling with the PDP candidate that is holding a meeting in Dubai and all that? Is there any law that says that I cannot hold any meeting anywhere? Why must, if you want to look at that, our president leaves the country here because he has an ear infection, he goes to London for treatment. If he has a cold, he goes to London. Nobody is quarreling over it. We don't have any records on that. That if he has a cold, he goes to London. Yes, but that one, this one only know is they have never showed our president in the National Hospital Abuja receiving treatment or going for anything. How we are saying, we don't have records of this. Wait, they never showed it to us.
All we have known since he entered in 2015, he goes abroad for his treatment. Even his wife complained at a point that
would it be necessary
even the national hospital.
Would it be necessary to check the daily movement of the president if he accesses the
issue, Philip, is that both parties are guilty of going after trivial issues. What do Nigerians want to hear? What we want to hear is that how are you going to tackle our problems? What we want to hear from the ruling party now is to tell us that these are our achievements for the past 3.5 years, and this is why you should vote for us. What we want to hear from PDP and other parties is that if you come in, if you succeed in winning Buhari in the next election in 2019, what are you going to do for Nigerians? Atiku has said, he has come out to say that probably the fuel will reduce to 90 naira per liter.
Well, and people are
quarreling.
I think we are digressing.
Let me learn.
Yes.
Now people are quarreling that because he said that, but we have pleasantly forgotten that when in 2014, 2015, during the campaign, they told us that fuel will be 45 naira per liter. You understand? So we all know how it ended up. So let them tell us what they are going to do. Let the ruling party show us the achievement. Well, let those that want to take over, let them tell us what they are going to do.
If you said they said 45 naira per liter, was there a blueprint to suggest that?
I think we are digressing. I think we are digressing. Campaigns, ban on campaigns have not been lifted.
Yes.
When that is lifted, people can tell all manner of stories that they want to tell to Nigerians, and Nigerians can, decide
and it shouldn't be this platform.
Which one to accept,
yes,
or which one not to accept. But the issue is, I agree with you, my learned friend, that two wrongs
cannot make a right.
And that is why we are saying, leave trivialities, face the substance. Issues. Okay? Nigerians are not concerned about, your personal idiosyncrasies, because everyone has. Okay? But Nigerians are concerned about, you have presented yourself as a leader. You are presenting yourself that you want to take over. Okay? We don't care what you want to do with your private life, but tell us that which will affect us as Nigerians. Okay? So, if you leave that, and you are talking of people are having their meetings outside of the shores of this country, and people do not, Waec result that is issued is not properly issued. I mean, for me, my brother, those are trivialities, those are distractions. Those are jobs for people that are not serious to tell us what, we should hold them for.
Yes.
Okay? Now, I said, Nigerians should ask Mr. President and support him, because whether we like it or not, as of today, he is the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Okay? And we are going to hold him responsible and accountable for whatever he does for the good or bad of this country.
Yes.
Now, so long as we are doing that, that is where our civic responsibility as Nigerians starts from. Because when we begin to look at other things and then we forget that the economy, we need to beef it up. It should be better than what it is today. Okay, and Mr. President has the capacity to do it.
Okay, yeah. But if we are to take that, if we are to take that on that lane, the president, while he was campaigning before now, came up with 3 capsules, looking at fighting insurgency, corruption, and of course the economy. Would you say so far we are on a better page?
Well, I have said this on this platform, that, see, by my training, I am to look at things dispassionately. And as I speak to you now, I belong to no political party.
Yeah.
I look at individuals, whatever political party that you belong to is your business. If I think that you have capacity, I tell you you have capacity, and I will support you because you have capacity. If you don't have, I tell you to your face that you don't have. And for that, I will not support you. So I do not pander to any person's whims or caprices.
Yes.
I said it. Security-wise, whether we like it or not,
Has done well.
Mr. President may not have satisfied us, okay? Because the minus in Mr. President's security architecture is the fact that the herdsmen killings, okay? If he had controlled that, I mean, security-wise, he had tried.
Okay, so which
Nobody will 100%.
You just raised that, okay, as a setback.
Yes, the killings is a setback.
Okay, so which means that has not been properly
last capacity.
Of course, I said it.
Okay.
When you now look at that, when you look at that,
I'll come back to you.
The last capacity.
Now, if you look at, corruption, for me, we cannot bring an angel to change the corrupt nature of people in this country overnight. It is not possible. And Mr. Buhari, hundreds of Mr. Buhari cannot change it. It is a collective work.
Responsibility.
All of us. Okay?
But a lot of persons have perceived the fight as one-sided.
Now, there is no way you will fight corruption that it will be, anybody will tell you that you are fighting it holistically.
Okay.
Okay? There is no way. But there is something that I tell people. In this country, in some years past, if you have told a Nigerian that, hey, big load of money will be found here, and they will say, Philip, is your money, and you will say, no, it's not my money. Will anybody have believed that?
Your money.
So such revelations were remarkable.
So it only means that something is happening.
Okay.
It may not be, at the speed or at the wide range.
But at least there's a progress.
But today, the rich are also crying.
Okay, thank you.
Previously, it used to be the poor that cries.
Okay.
But today, the rich are also
So
crying.
the narrative has changed.
So the narrative has changed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Before I come to you, Ebusele Okifo, Benson Odia, what do you have to say in that respect?
Let me start like this. If you look at this program, there are rules of engagement, and I want to take up my elder brother, Barrister Okifo. You see, we are not here to campaign or to canvass for anybody.
I think we've passed that page. Just go straight to the point. In respect of the score point of the president, if you look looking at the 3 capsules which he came on board with.
If you look at the president has been able to set a precedence which have not happened in this country before now. As I speak with you today, judges were arrested, and which has never happened. And apart from that, it's now on record that past political office holders have been, people are being probed, and any person charged with public service responsibility, today now they are mindful of what they are doing because of the fear of Buhari.
When you say judges have been arrested, I don't get it. Is that a score point?
It's a score point. Why? Because
that judges have been arrested.
Why will you find billions of naira inside somebody's kitchen? It negates the principle that is the culture of that is a true culture of Nigeria.
Okay.
As Nigeria, we should be corruption free. As a civil servant, you must be prudent with the resources that is accruable to your office. And number 2, if you look at in the area of infrastructure, you discover that this country, the roads, this state as it is, has provided 2 federal minister of works and 1 minister of state for works. Before you can drive from Uromi down to Agbo, as it were, and even as at last year, because of the infrastructural decadence, you cannot even access Benin. If you are coming from Benin from Abuja, you have to get to Irua, navigate through Begum, down to Ibele, and nick all those alternative roads that was done by the former governor of the state, Comrade Adas Oshomole. As it is now, as I speak with you, from Uromi to Agbo, it's just about 40 minutes ride. The Federal Ministry of Works, They have engaged a very competent contractor, Central Nigeria Limited.
Okay, so you mean to say that that's a score point for the president?
Of course.
And so rather than pay attention to the credentials and all of this, which is a distraction, the concentration should be on this development that has been made. All right, thank you.
In the 6th geopolitical zone,
thank you, I got your point. Thank you.
Apart from the railway and others, there are many other infrastructure projects, housing, going on.
Thank you. Let's fast track on the next. We have a lot.
This government has done well in terms of infrastructure.
Thank you.
I want to look at it from, let me look at it from the angle of my learned friend. My learned friend here raised 3 issues, 3 broad ways to look at it. You talk about the economy, you talk about corruption, you talk about security. Those were the 3 tripods that made Nigerians to vote for Mr. President to come in. And he said an important thing. He said, we will look at your capacity. Do you have the capacity? If you don't have the capacity, he will not support. So I will tell you that the president, with due respect to him, has no capacity. If you look at those 3 points that made Nigerians to vote for him. On the issue of corruption, my little friend is talking about, my brother here is talking about judges being arrested. Now, judges that were arrested in the midnight on holy hours, how many of them have become convicted? As we are talking now, how many of them are standing trial that have been convicted? None. You cannot even mention one. Now, we are talking about monies that have been recovered. You have seen millions upon millions of dollars.
Okay, when you say they've not been convicted,
they've not been convicted. It's not a matter of. Yes, without being convicted, you have to be convicted for you to be guilty of an offense. That is the truth. Now, if it's not just about raiding judges' houses, you start raiding their houses, and at the end of the day, most of them have even been exonerated by the courts, which means you did not do your homework properly before going for arrest.
So you see the arrest
now we talk about monies that were recovered, millions upon millions of naira of dollars recovered in people's houses. Some up till now, the money that was even recovered in Ikoyi, in the Osborne Estate in Lagos, up till now we don't know the identity of the person that owns that property that the money was recovered from. You understand? They have refused to tell Nigerians. No, the monies you have recovered. You also had Abacha loot. Even though the president, he quote, said that Abacha is not corrupt, never stole anything. Yet he's receiving stolen loot from foreign governments that Abacha stole and hid in these foreign accounts.
Yeah, no, if you look at the recoveries, you are
getting all this money. You are getting all this money. What are you doing with the money? What have you done with the money? My friend talked about Buhari'S Road, Abuja Road. It's completely unmotorable. If you are going to Ekpoma from here to Ekpoma, you spend up to 3 hours. That's a journey that is less than 45 minutes. What do you do with the money? What have you been doing with the money? You are borrowing money. Every day you are borrowing money. You are taking loans. You want to sell our national assets to fund budget. Then the money you have got, the money you have borrowed so far,
you want to sell national assets.
Listen to me. You are not using the money for the benefit of Nigerians. You understand? All this money you are borrowing, the money you are getting, the money you have recovered. Which of the industries have you resuscitated? The industries that have gone bad, that are no more functioning. Which of the ones have you resuscitated so that Nigerians will be employed? No. Then if we are talking about economy, you cannot be talking about economy. Don't tell us that the economy is improving. It's not improving. Because we are still sitting here, the life of the average common man is still difficult. The common man is even, it's not even for them to have 3 square meals a day. The average common man, we are looking at it. When you came in, how much was a bag of rice? 7,500, 8,500 at most. As we are talking, for the past 3.5 years, a bag of rice is almost going for 20,000 now. Express is around the corner. What are you telling the masses about the economy? You cannot be talking about the economy when we buy fuel for $145 per liter. Nothing is happening.
Okay, thank you. I think we've spoken more on that.
So, Mr. President has no capacity. That's the truth.
Thank you, Episode Okifo. We've spoken much.